Wednesday, November 15th. It's another prospect edition of the Just Baseball show. He's Jack McMullen, who obviously is putting basketball first. That's why we're recording early, eager to see Steph Curry break the record. I'm Aram Layton, not worried about Steph Curry because I'm a baseball guy, and we're going to be talking about baseball here in this episode. Okay, so we're here to talk prospects, and not just prospects. We're talking about the blue chippers, the guys who will make an impact, or we think will make an impact at the big league level next year. So you can almost kind of tie this in with some like rookie of the year discussion. That gets a little bit more, I guess, detailed and nuanced because some of the top prospects are both in the AL and then some are going to be in the NL. So we kind of want to just talk about it as a whole, as just which prospects we think can really make an impact at the big league level next year. And we'll hit the ground running. So I'm excited to talk about those guys. So this is going to be a really fun year, I think. And I mean, and it always is with the young talent in baseball. We talk about how much young talent there is in baseball, but when you look at the Just Baseball top 100 list, the top three guys are going to break in next year, barring something unforeseen, God forbid, an injury or something else. Number one's Bobby Witt Jr. Number two is Adley Rutschman. Number three is Julio Rodriguez. Those three guys should personally, I think service time aside, should make the opening day rosters outright. I think they've shown enough in the minor leagues, assuming they don't just catastrophically struggle in spring training. If there is spring training, those guys belong in the big leagues right away. I guess we could start with that trio, right? Because we're going to get more into other names as well. But with this trio, who do you think can make the biggest impact at the big league level next year? Because there's a lot of factors that go into this. This isn't saying who's going to be the best player of them all, right? Certain profiles, certain types of players have a more smooth transition into the big leagues, but the guys that may not have as smooth of a transition, once they settle in, they become superstars. So we're kind of talking about the guys that we think are going to settle in kind of quickly. And by the end of the year, have that really, really solid rookie year for their team.
Yeah. You know what? Before I answer your question, I just want to say, you said that the top three in the Just Baseball top 100 will break into the major leagues in 2022. I mean, we've got 9 of the top 10 guys ready to break into the bigs in 2022. That's the thing. Like, the only guy in the top 10 that we don't see at Just Baseball cracking the show in 2022 is Francisco Alvarez, who's really, really good, but he's just not ready for that 2022 season.
Absolutely.
Like, what's crazy is we've hit this cycle of the prospects, right? And it's always cyclical. You've got the top prospects being young guys, and they are a glimmering hope. And then there's some adjustment there. And then there's this almost front-loaded sense of the top prospects where all the top flight guys are just about to get there. We saw it with Trout and Harper, right? They were both on the cusp, and they were the can't miss guys. But then you have other times where it's Jurix and Profar, and then who else? You know what I mean? Everybody's in low A, everybody's in high A, but now everybody's in triple A, and they can crack in. To be honest, I think the guy who can make the biggest impact out of those top three in 2022 is J-Rod. I think Julio Rodriguez is the guy to make the impact. Adley Rutschman's going to be really good. Bobby Witt's going to be really good. But if I had to power rank the top three guys, Adley, Witt, and J-Rod, in terms of the impact they will make for their team in 2022, it goes Julio Rodriguez, Bobby Witt Jr., Adley Rutschman. Adley being an all-star or Adley being a work in progress will have minimal impact on the Baltimore Orioles situation in 2022. I mean, they're just not going to make the postseason. There's no shot. With Bobby Witt, the Royals are that team that wants to contend, but the way that we've workshopped the Guardians and then knowing the White Sox talent and knowing that the Tigers are on the up and up, there might not be enough wins for them. With Seattle, they were a game away from making the postseason without Kyle Lewis and without Julio Rodriguez and without a lot of their young pitchers that are going to debut in 2022. So I think if Julio Rodriguez and others make that return, make that big of an impact, I mean, the Mariners might win the AL West.
Yeah, and they went out and scooped up that Robbie Ray guy too, right? So I mean, they've got a good team, and I don't think they're done either. I think they're going to make some more moves. I like your rationale here because there's a few things that I'm thinking about when I look at these three. And personally, I think Julio Rodriguez is going to have the smoothest transition because a lot of what you said, but then also I look at Adley Rutschman. That's a big undertaking. Like, people underestimate how much goes into just adjusting as a defensive catcher too, right?
Yeah.
Like, Dylan Dingler, a perfect example. He was spectacular in high A. And offensively, he really struggled. He hit a wall in double A. You and I don't think it changed either of our tunes as to what we think of Dingler. But the reason why he really struggled is that he got quickly sent up to double A, and now you have to handle a much more advanced pitching staff. And even his double A manager, even the head of player development over there in the Tiger system, they all said, offense comes second. We really wanted to see how he would handle the pitching staff up here. Well, we know that he'll get acclimated offensively. So, I mean, that kind of puts it in perspective. I think it's going to be similar for Adley at the big league level. He's going to make an impact because he's going to be a good defensive catcher who is still going to run into some baseballs for a team that needs guys like that. But I don't think he's going to be tapping into his potential necessarily the way Julio Rodriguez can, who honestly, I mean, they might throw him in the front of their lineup, but the guy could hit like 7th for them next year potentially. Yeah. Like, I don't think Seriously. He will. I don't think he will just because he's Julio Rodriguez, but like he's going to be in a very comfortable place. Like that's not the guy that you're afraid of right now. I think in that lineup, like you're probably more afraid of, unless he just really takes off. Like you still got to deal with Mitch Haniger. Like you still got to deal with Ty France. You got to deal with guys that really hit last year. We'll see how Kyle Lewis looks when he comes back. Kelenic was insane at the end of last year. So like that's a guy that you pair the track record of hitting. You pair the fact that he's just a bat first guy with good bat to ball skills and good power. I think he's going to kind of roll right in there. Bobby Witt, he's got some contact questions. Like I'm not saying that it's going to hold him back from being a superstar. Like he's legitimately our number one prospect for a reason, but I don't know if he's just going to hit the ground running, right? Like 74% zone contact rate. That's below average. Yes, he was playing way above his domain in terms of his experience and put up great numbers in double and triple A. But I think there might be a bit of a learning curve here for Bobby Witt. And also he's going to be expected to be one of their like main offensive pieces right away. So think about what Adley's being asked. Think about what Witt's being asked versus what Julio Rodriguez is going to be asked of. I think it's just a smoother and less pressurized, I guess, for lack of a better word, transition for Julio Rodriguez compared to these other two guys.
No, I think that's a fair word. And I think what Witt is dealing with is what Wander Franco dealt with when he first came up. It was, you're going to come up, you're going to hit 8th in your debut, but then you're going to hit 2nd. And you got to be all-star caliber in order for the Rays to maximize what they want to do in 2021 because you're Wander Franco. There are maybe 10 guys playing baseball right now that can deal with that kind of pressure from the jump. Trout was one of them. Harper was one of them. You know what I mean?
And he struggled. Trout struggled out of the gate.
He did, but then he adjusted there.
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
was, rookie of the year unanimously, and he would have won the MVP, any other year besides the Triple Crown, blah, blah, blah. But Wander is cut from that cloth. I genuinely think that Bobby Witt is cut from that cloth. But if Bobby Witt is like MVP vote getter and AL Rookie of the Year Bobby Witt, that still doesn't guarantee the Royals a postseason appearance here. Versus Julio Rodriguez, looking in the same division as the Royals, is dealing with the Luis Robert thing, where Luis Robert, so talented, 27 other teams in Major League Baseball, he's going to hit 2nd in that order his rookie year. And then sometimes a lineup card comes out and Luis Robert's hitting 7th. Because the lineup is deep and you've got experience 1 through 6. That's what Julio Rodriguez is stepping into. Kelenic's going to hit ahead of Julio Rodriguez at the beginning of 2022. He has to, because he spent some time at the major league level seeing major league pitching. I think that changes within a couple of weeks, but the expectations don't need to be sky high for J-Rod right away because he's entering a good team.
I totally agree. And the thing when you talk about being cut from the same cloth as somebody like a Wander Franco, the craziest part is that, and I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, Julio Rodriguez's numbers in his minor league career through just about the same age and the same levels are almost to a T the same as Wander Franco's were. I think more power production, obviously some more strikeouts, but nothing egregious there. It's just Wander doesn't strike out. You had numbers that were almost identical across the board over the same sample size as well. Like Julio has that ability, that generational feel to hit that I think is going to help him just kind of roll out and be great right away. I think you bring up some good points there. And how about this though? All 3 of these guys are in the American League. It's going to be a fun, It's going to be a fun rookie of the year race. I'm looking forward to giving out our picks on that because it's going to be really interesting as to how we break that down. The thing I'll say about Witt though, to wrap up is it's not just Witt that's going to feel that pressure. Like Nick Prado is going to have to take it, it's going to have to translate right away for this team to really be able to do things. Like Kyle Isbell is going to have to contribute. Like they need a lot of young guys to contribute. I think they're still going to go out and make some more moves. But yeah, I mean, you're not really banking on the playoffs. The only guy that really has to jump in and take your team to the promised land is Julio Rodriguez, whereas Adley and Witt are allowed to struggle. And that was something I talked about with Jeff Conine, on Outside the Box with Jeff, with the podcast we host, is just, he was saying, don't underestimate the amount of pressure that goes on to these players' backs when you get to the big leagues and that team actually has to win. When you can get up to the big leagues and it doesn't matter if you struggle, it's a lot easier to go through that. But like, imagine a Jared Kelenic where that team's in the middle of a playoff race, a miracle playoff race, and you're in the middle of that lineup, or even no matter where you are in that lineup, and you need to help. You need to not be a liability. And he was a liability. Like, that's got to mount up on you. And that's why it was so amazing to see what he did over the final month. And that's why I think Kelenic's going to be great. And I think Julio's probably learned a lot from that. He was along for the ride, keeping close, watching close. He traveled, I think, for the final series up to Seattle, and everyone was freaking out like he was going to get the call up for the final 2 games or something. But I think it's a really cool opportunity for Julio to be around some vets and some young guys who went through some similar things that he did. And I think it's just a perfect situation for him to just kind of have that momentous rookie year that you don't see very often.
Yeah. And that feeling that Kelenic had to have when he went back to Tacoma, the Mariners AAA team, it was probably like, fuck, I blew my chance at a grand entry into Major League Baseball. Like, I missed the chance to be the golden boy. You know who else missed their chance to be the golden boy not too long ago? Was Julio Urias with the Dodgers. Yeah. He came up and it was, holy shit, this is Fernando Mania 2.0. Let's go. And he kind of sucked as a teenager. Or he was 20, I want to say. And
he was 19. I think
he was 19. Yeah, he was a teenager. That's what I thought, because he was like the first teenage pitcher to debut for the Dodgers since Fernando. And it was like, okay, this is Fernando Mania. Here we go. He had like a 5 ERA. Then he goes back down to Oklahoma City, and Julio Urias is like, shit, like, damn, that's my chance. I'm not the wonder kid anymore. And then Julio Urias is who he is now, which is arguably a top 10 pitcher in baseball. So like, there is a chance to bounce back. And Kelenic, we saw it in a vacuum in 2021, but Kelenic bounced back successfully. And now he looks like a piece that's going to contribute from the jump. Julio Rodriguez, if he struggles, he's going to bounce back. I don't think he's going to struggle because he's just super duper talented. I also don't think he's going to struggle because it feels like he can temper his own expectations.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think he's got the personality too. He's kind of been in the spotlight for a while, and I'm expecting him to kind of hit the ground running. And here's the crazy thing too, Jack, is that when we continue through these other guys that I think are going to break in next year, it's more dudes that are all in the AL through this top 10 here. The next two are a pair of Tigers, 2 guys that I think are also going to break in next year, but I think one we're going to be on the same page is probably going to be having a chance to break in on opening day. And also I think it's just going to kind of hit the ground running a bit quicker. Torkelson and Green. You got Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson. Riley Green's a high school guy. It's amazing how polished he is, given the fact that he was a high school guy with the 2020 season taken away from him, which would have been the first full season for him. Torkelson, college guy, breaks Barry Bonds' home run record at Arizona State, freshman home run record there, like generational in what he did in college baseball and in the Cape and Team USA. And now we saw it just roll right into his first professional season. Torkelson makes hitting look easy. And what we said in the write-up is like his takes are even easy. He makes it all look so comfortable, no matter how hard a guy's throwing. I think it's pretty natural that you're going to see Spencer Torkelson be able to kind of just get acclimated quicker. He's going to make Comerica Park look small when he connects. Yeah. Like he's not going to have a problem leaving the yard there. Riley Green's got big power, but he's still fully tapping into it. I think Green's going to be a hell of a player. And we have Green ranked ahead of Torkelson because Green can play center. He could be an above average corner outfielder. Torkelson's probably going to play first. I don't think he's playing third. So, when we look at the offensive impact, and now Detroit's a team that they kind of want to compete next year, right? Like, I don't think that they're expecting to make the playoffs, but they're trying to be relevant, right? Like they go out and get Javi Baez. They're hoping to be a bit more competitive this season. And I think the plan is probably 2 years from now, 3 years from now, but Torkelson is going to be expected to kind of get going right away. And I think he's going to make the team outright, unless they're going to pull the Chris Bryant, work on your defense at third and then never even play him at third. They'll probably just put him right at first and have Cabrera DH, I guess. But Torkelson, I think, is the guy that's going to be, probably far and away more comfortable out of the gate than Riley Green, who I think actually could use probably another 150 plate appearances in AAA before getting the call up.
So I'm going to push back on you, but before I push back on you, I just want to say that I understand they're on the back half of the rebuild, but Javi Baez signing up to be on a rebuilding team it's ludicrous to me. Javi Baez cannot deal with team failure. I understand you're doing the dollar sign thing. For you folks not watching on YouTube, you're doing the dollar sign thing. Yes, money talks, and Detroit probably saw that they weren't going to compete financially for Correa like they thought they were. So then they offered Baez bigger money that he would have gotten elsewhere. But I mean, Javi Baez is going to be miserable when his team is 500 and it's cold outside. Cold outside is why I'm going to push back. I saw Spencer Torkelson make his pro debut on May 4th in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I saw him for a whole week. That was the one time in Spencer Torkelson's baseball career where he looked normal. He started his pro career, I want to say 0 for 10 or 0 for 11 with a bunch of punch outs because it was 45 degrees outside. Spencer Torkelson is from Northern California. He went to school in Tempe, Arizona. This guy, before that, had never played in cold weather. And what's going to happen in April of 2022 if they start the season on time? Spencer Torkelson is going to play in the state of Michigan. That's cold weather. So when Spencer Torkelson has a shitty first month of his MLB career, don't come crawling back to me and say, there's no way you couldn't have guessed this, because I'm telling you right now, Torkelson is going to struggle out of the gates because it's going to be 38 degrees or 44 degrees. That's how it's going to work. But once the heat comes around in mid-May, late May, Tork's going to light the baseball on fire.
I believe that in the minor league context. I remember you talking to me about this, but I think he's going to just figure it out at this point. You're in the big leagues. You can go into the clubhouse style between innings, wear a hoodie, get warmers, figure it out. I think he'll be fine.
No, man. I'm talking about human shit. Spencer Torkelson, he's a human being. He gets cold. He's never really been cold playing baseball before, and he's going to struggle the first month of his MLB career.
Well, I mean, dude, I can tell you, I played South Florida my whole life. We played a tournament up in Georgia, and it was 45 degrees, and wood bat, got jammed. I never wanted to play baseball again. I thought I was done.
I'm telling you.
I didn't want to swing. So no, I get it, but we'll see. We'll see. It's a little conspiracy theorist, but we'll see. We'll see. And here's the thing too. He could just struggle outright. And how are we going to know if it's the weather or not? And maybe he'll say something. I'll tell you it's the weather. Okay. Yes. We'll say it's the weather. So we got another American League guy, but we got to see a little bit of this guy last year. And frankly, he could kind of be graduated. The prospects ranking system for this is kind of crazy, but Shane Baz, he pitched in the playoffs and he's technically still a prospect. We don't need to talk much about this guy. I think he's going to be a number 2 pitcher next year. I don't think either of us disagree with this. He's going to be a frontline caliber starter. Might have some bumps in the road, but for the Rays, I mean, this is a special arm. I don't think either of us have any reservations on that one, right?
No, he's going to be an AL Cy Young value pick in the preseason. When you look at your awards, you could say, damn, Shane Baz plus 4,000 to win AL Cy Young.
How about Rookie of the Year? I think that's the safest Rookie of the Year bet there is.
Yeah. I could see it, but the thing is, like, the AL is just loaded with guys. Like, you've got J-Rod, Adley, Witt, and we're saying they're going to be up from the jump, and here you are competing with them. Torkelson, everybody we've talked about is in the American League so far.
Well, the right play would be wait a month. Torkelson's hitting 120. Take the value play Rookie of the Year. Boom, buy low, buy the dip, dip. There you go. So, dude, it's all AL guys. Again, Gabriel Moreno now, catcher. Kind of the same thing, right? Like if he's going to start at catcher for a team that is lit, like they're insane. They're so fun. Their whole offense is unbelievable. And he will probably hit 7th or 8th. He probably will. And so I think he could feast. I think Gabriel Moreno could absolutely feast if he does get the start right away. I don't think he's going to be up from day one. And that's the problem, right? He had a season cut short to about 37 games because of a thumb injury. They have Alejandro Kirk. They have Denny Jansen. So it's not like they have this urgency to have him up. So I think he's going to have that time in the minors. So it's not really looking at him as a rookie of the year candidate. But I do think once he comes up, this is a guy who I have a 60 grade on his present hit tool, 70 future value, meaning like I think as he continues to work it out, he's going to be a plus hit tool guy. It's that special with his bat to ball skills, and the power is there too. He's someone that I think is going to translate pretty well.
I think he's going to translate well. I think they are going to be really, really patient. I don't think they're going to force anything with Moreno because they've got Kirk and they've got Jansen. Mm-hmm. Danny Jansen's good. Like he's a good catcher. He's a serviceable catcher.
For the Blue Jays.
Right. He's a good backup. But the thing is, like, that can start in April. And if Moreno needs in April in the minor leagues, if he needs it in Buffalo or in Dunedin or wherever the hell Toronto like has their guys. By the way, did you see like this crazy spike that COVID had across the NFL, the NBA, the NHL on Tuesday? Yeah. I mean, nuts. Like, I'm worried that the Blue Jays are going to have to do their thing away from Rogers again.
I didn't even think about that.
It would suck. It would totally suck. And
it would be a shame.
I have no idea.
This is a fun team. Like the Toronto fans deserve to be able to see this. It's unfortunate that this is all happening. You know, it's just
good news for them and their baseball reference page is like they play in 2 bandboxes when they're away from like Dunedin is a joke. It's a total
the ball
joke.
just gets in the air and it just levitates out. There's like no gravity.
It's insane. It's stupid. It's like if you took the dimensions at Chase Field, shrunk them by about 20 feet to every field, and the ball just kind of flies like that. It doesn't make any sense.
It's crazy.
If I'm just worried COVID wise that Toronto's not going to be there because they play such an exciting brand of baseball. Like they're one of the most exciting teams in Major League Baseball. Moreno is going to add to that excitement. I think the excitement's going to come in early June. I could see him getting the Wander treatment where he's up for 85 games.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And keep in mind, there could be an injury in another spot and Kirk could end up DHing or something like that. Kirk is a good bat. So many things can happen. And if you have an opening in some place here or there, I mean, Moreno, they might experiment with him a little bit at other positions just to see if he can do it because his bat is that valuable. Ultimately, they want him to catch. But if that's what gets him big league at bats down the stretch, I think it's more likely that Moreno catches and they move Kirk, especially given his frame. But Kirk is a great bat. And also is somebody that I think can really be an above average hitter and had a good finish to the year. They've got an embarrassment of riches. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think, for the Jays to wheel and deal, and hopefully they'll be able to play at home. And dude, we're still going through the AL now. So here's the first National League prospect, and it's number 10. And it's from your hometown of Chicago. I know you're a White Sox guy, but you still keep tabs on the Cubs as a Chicago guy.
I'm a Cubs guy too. Listen, have I ever told like the story of why I am both?
I don't think so.
WG
you jumped on the bandwagon in 05, I'm assuming. And...
Yeah. So here's the deal. I know I've told this story before. I grew up in Lincoln Park, which is the neighborhood just south of Wrigleyville. I was a 7-minute walk my first 5 years of life from my apartment, from obviously my family's apartment to Wrigley Field. And then we moved out, to the near burbs. And the option was, all my like first baseball game photos, like I've got a photo in a Sammy Sosa onesie in the bleachers at Wrigley. Like all my first baseball photos are at Wrigley Field. And then when you get out to the burbs, when you're, 8-year-old Jack, 9-year-old Jack, and you have the choice of seeing Randy Wells pitch for the Cubs for $45 or seeing Chris Sale pitch for the White Sox or Mark Burley pitch for the White Sox for $6, it's very easy to change your allegiance. Yeah. But then I interned with WGN, which is the longtime home of Cubs baseball, right? Like they've been there forever, and that's one of those nationally televised channels. So I interned for WGN summer of 2017. This was after our freshman year of college. And, there were 4 or 5 games a week where I was sitting in the back of the TV booth at Wrigley and US Cellular Field, guaranteed rate field, watching a Cubs and Sox game. And when I tell you that the view from the TV booth at Wrigley Field can make you fall in love with a place and with a team, I'm not being hyperbolic. So like the Cubs environment is just second to none. Like
it's amazing.
You're at the gates of heaven when you're at Wrigley Field. So like I cheer for the Cubs because I want to see good Cubs baseball because I know how special that place is. Yeah. And I know when that team is right, I mean, they're super special. But yeah, Brennan Davis.
Well, so something I really cherish too is, as I mean, I probably talked about this a little bit on the pod, but my late father who passed away, my freshman year of college, we were trying to go to all 30 baseball stadiums, as I know I've definitely mentioned that. And that was the last stadium, we went to Chicago, and technically, White Sox Stadium was the last one we went to. I forget what it was called, US Cellular at the time, right? Is that still what it is?
No, it's guaranteed rate.
Guaranteed rate. But and that was nice. That was a fun game. But the one I really hold on to is that we got to see the Marlins play the Cubs at Wrigley, and Jose Fernandez pitched for the Marlins. So pretty crazy from the morbid aspect that I was with my dad, and it was the last time I ever saw Jose pitch too. But that environment with my father being at Wrigley, that's something I'll cherish forever, even if my father was still here. That was just such a special experience. And it's hard to put into words, really, just the way I was able to experience it. But frankly, it just kind of took me back in time. And it was cool because my dad's telling me about the first time he went there 35 years ago. And sure, it's a little bit different. They've got the scoreboard now, they've got lights, but it's still the same place. And it still has the same bones and a lot of the same structure and a lot of the same, I guess, just character to it. And that was pretty cool that I'm having a similar first experience that my dad had 30 years prior. And not a lot of stadiums can do that for you. And I am excited to go back there because I have not been back since I went with my father 5 years ago.
Well, you're going to come out to Chicago and you're going to chill for a week, and we're going to go to a couple of Cubs games, a couple of Sox games. We're going to see the more exciting team at Guaranteed Rate Field, and then we're going to see the friendly confines at Wrigley. I will say, if you have a historic stadium and you're looking to upgrade Fenway Park, you should be making the trip to Wrigley Field and seeing what they did. Wrigley is nice, but they kept all the tradition like you're talking about.
Absolutely. They balanced the two really well. And I think that's a tough line to toe, but they did a great job of it. So let's fly through some NL guys before we wrap up and get you to Steph Curry's history or historic moment, because we know basketball comes first. Brennan Davis. I have been on this guy since you've known me, probably, just being annoying and obnoxious about Brennan Davis. I think he's going to be a star, but I do see some growing pains for Brennan Davis. There's some swing and miss. The guy struggled against lefties a bit in the upper levels. He still needs to figure out a changeup a little bit. Basically, all that to say, he's game plannable right now. You can attack him in certain ways. I think he's going to feel it out. He did towards the end of the season, and he did really finish strong. He has unbelievable athleticism. He's going to give you good defensive value, even when he's not totally hitting. He's going to walk. He's going to run into baseballs. But I'm not sure that he's a guy, to put it in the context of people I would be betting on, let's say, to win National League Rookie of the Year. I'm probably not, just because I don't know if he's going to be up there to start the year, first of all, especially with where the Cubs are at in their history of service time manipulation. Yeah. And I just don't know if Brennan's going to be that hit the ground running kind of guy. I think he's a bit more of a project, but still, he's a number 10 prospect on our top 100 list for a reason.
Well, hey, the manipulation was Theo. That wasn't Jed. Jed's got the reins now. Jed.
Oh yeah. No, he would never. He would never.
No, never. I agree with you. And I'm working through how I would, budget my futures bets on Brennan Davis. And it's not on Rookie of the Year. I agree with you. I'm not betting on him to be NL Rookie of the Year. However, year 4, year 5, I'm betting on him to be NL MVP. I think it's right. It's that kind of curve where when he gets dangerous, when he figures out the pitching, the world is his oyster in that regard. But
Tyler O'Neill, kind of almost.
Right,
I think it's going to be that kind of just explosion. If he gets it, and then holy shit, it clicked. That's what I think is going to happen.
I agree with you. And I can just close my eyes and visualize in at bat against Jack Flaherty, and then Burns and Woodruff and Freddie, and seeing Brennan Davis, right? I can see the 3-pitch strikeout from Brandon Woodruff, high fastball. He's shit, high fastball, shit. And then he drops a 91 mile an hour slider. And it's God damn, welcome to Major League Baseball, buddy. I think that could happen in 2022, but and
that'll be okay.
That's okay. That's what rookies should do. There should be that welcome to the show, chump. There should be that, because that's what results in growing pains, and growing pains may hurt. It's painful, but you also grow from it.
And what's really impressed me with Brendan Davis, and it kind of goes to that point, is that he has started a little bit slow at times when he gets promoted. And whenever he hits that wall, he kind of feels it out. And you can see that there's wheels turning in there. He's got a good approach. He learns from his mistakes. And I really like the improvements that we saw across the board with his approach too. He uses the whole field, which is going to work in his favor really well. And he's a guy that just gets it in the air and the ball carries. I think at Wrigley, that's going to work in his favor too. Like he's going to hit a lot of oppo bombs into the basket. Like that's going to be something that he does. Like he's got gap to gap power that, you know, a whole run into one and hit it 450. Like he can do that, but he hits a lot of doubles. And I guarantee that a lot of those doubles are going to turn into home runs on the right days. And he's going to start catching fire, and he's going to hit 30 plus home runs when it all comes together. Another guy that I don't know what in the world the plan is going to be with this dude. I think he's one of the safest bets around, given his athleticism and his bat to ball skills. CJ Abrams. He's not really needed at this juncture for the Padres, right? Because he's a natural shortstop. He can play second. He can play center potentially. And I think he wouldn't have a problem in center. He's got a big arm, and he's an 80 grade runner. Obviously, Tatis is playing shortstop. Cronenworth's playing a lot of second base, and they've got that Grisham guy in center. So where does he fit into the mold here? Like Abrams missed a lot of the season anyway with an injury. I think he tore his meniscus. He's probably going to start in the minor leagues. He's not going to get up enough to make an impact, but that's a guy you're calling up, especially if you have an injury down the stretch. The Padres, you need a boost. You don't have a ton to be able to go make a trade. Call up a dynamic prospect who is as fast as anybody, and is going at the very least, he's going to put the ball in play, and he's going to freaking fly. Like he's got a plus hit tool too.
I remember the articles. The best deadline acquisition the Tampa Bay Rays could make is calling up Shane Baz, right?
Like I wrote that one. Yeah. I wrote that thing.
I know. I remember when you said that, because that resonated with me. Like there are a ton of organizations that should abide by that, not just in 2021, but in years to come and in years prior. Like the best move that the Padres can make when somebody goes down with injury might not be in free agency, or might not be via transaction. Like it might be via calling up CJ Abrams from El Paso. And I think that Abrams is an El Paso guy. I think that the Padres are okay being in a holding pattern with a supremely talented guy. I think he's got to play a lot of center field, especially missing this year of development in the outfield, right? Like he debuted with San Antonio, and then he got hurt, and then he was out for the overwhelming majority of the season. I think if Abrams is primarily a center fielder in El Paso to open the season, and then also gets his reps at short, I think you can go to him. If you've got a gap to fill in center, like say Grisham goes down, right? Like maybe Abrams is the guy there. If Tatis has to move to an outfield spot because he's just not really feeling it, maybe Abrams is the guy to go there instead of Ha-Seong Kim, right? Like there are a lot of options for Abrams. He's really, really good, but I think that's another guy where when he sees Walker Buehler and he sees 98 in his grill, he's going to swing at it, be a foot under it, and be like, ah, shit, welcome to Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I totally agree. The thing is with an Abrams is that like he's going to be able to help your team even if he's not totally hitting. Like he's going to be able to shorten up, put it in play, and he's so damn fast that I think there's going to be some sort of ability to translate better than some of the other guys.
Okay, so I'm going to say something, and a lot of people are going to get mad when I say it. You ready?
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world if you bring him up and he's a bench guy.
I think towards the end of the season, absolutely not. It's not the end of the world at all. Like you don't want to take at bats away from him, right? Like if it's early in the year, you want him getting ABs and getting reps on the defensive side.
You know, if I'm looking at the Dodgers running away and you're in a battle with the Giants and maybe another team from the East or the Central in the wild card race, like it's August 1, you say, we got the fastest guy in baseball in El Paso right now. Let's go get him.
Who can play potentially all over. And here's the thing.
Who can hit 5 big home runs for us.
Yes. And frankly, I would rather roll the dice with CJ Abrams. If it was like, okay, somebody's hurt, we got to give this guy ABs, then Ha-Seong Kim or Jerks and Profar. Like I'm just so out. Kim might put it together offensively. I think you kind of know what he is, though he's limited. And Profar, I'm not a fan. So that's kind of where I stand on that. A few more guys real quick. because I'm really interested in the Reds duo of two arms that both reached the upper levels in the minors. It was a little bit of a struggle for Lodolo, but it was a small sample size. He dominated up until he got the call up to AAA. And Hunter Green throws 102, but I actually think Green is further off than Lodolo. I think Lodolo could go up and be a middle of the rotation arm right away. He's got heavy sink, will get ground balls. He's got a nasty breaking ball. He's going to make it work. He's got great command. He'll be fine. Hunter Green's fastball was weirdly hittable. 11 of his 14 home runs came off with a heater. Yes, it's 101, but when it's straight as an arrow, guys can hit it. You're smiling. I'm very curious why, because I think Lodolo is going to help the Reds as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, like you and I just both know that Lodolo is going to be better than Hunter Green off the jump.
Yes.
Like you and I both know that. There's no question about that. And I think that with how many views that Hunter Green would get on his fastball on TikTok compared to Lodolo is like, I mean, everybody needs Hunter Green content. They don't need Lodolo content because Lodolo's stuff is not as sexy as a 103 that Hunter Green pumps out. Yep. But the reality is, like, Lodolo's got an arsenal that he has command of, and Hunter Green doesn't really yet. So, I mean, it's just, it's not the exciting thing to say, but like Lodolo is just going to have a better rookie year than Hunter Green has a rookie.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. Because even if Lodolo is not getting the whiffs that he needs to get, Lodolo's pitch to contact is like get a ton of ground balls with that heavy sink. Hunter Green's pitch to contact is nuke home run because it's 100 and gets backspun out of the yard.
Right.
And that's part of the problem. So like the safety net, the plan B, when your stuff's not on for Hunter Green is a struggle. For Lodolo, it's your fallback is still pitch to contact and get ground balls. So I think we're on the same page there. Someone that, we definitely got to tee you up on here. Alec Thomas. I know you gave him in the bold prediction as someone that you think is going to, could be break out and be rookie of the year. I think it's a great take. I think he's polished. I think he's big league ready. He's got great approach, well-roundedness to his game. He's a gamer. He's a good defender. He's gonna be a big boost to this team, and making them watchable. And I think he's ready day one if they want him to be.
Yeah, I'm drinking the Alec Thomas Kool-Aid. I think everybody knows that now. My thing with Alec Thomas is like you don't see freak athletes with a high floor like this. Alec Thomas, I just, now that I'm saying it, he's probably gonna bust, and that would suck. But I just view Alec Thomas as bust proof because I think he's got so many good skills. I think he's got skills that can continue to rise. I think he's got a high ceiling. I also just think he has a high floor because he's a gifted enough athlete to figure it out. This guy, he was going to play football and baseball at TCU. If I'm not mistaken, he was going to be a running back at TCU and be an outfielder. That's what this guy is. Yeah. And his dad, Alan Thomas, I want to say his name is, he was recently let go by the White Sox, but he was the strength and conditioning coordinator for the White Sox. He grew up in a big league weight room. He learned how to train like a big leaguer. He was a Power 5. He was a Big 12 football player. He was a Big 12 baseball player. This guy is a good enough athlete to figure all this out.
So I think I know why you like Alec Thomas. He's from Chicago.
Have I not told you my Alec Thomas high school story?
No, but if I'm not mistaken, he went to the same high school as Ed Howard.
Yes, Mount Carmel.
Look at that. So look at my Chicago knowledge. Good job.
A lot of those guys from Jackie Robinson West from that team went to Mount Carmel High School. Pierce Jones did too. Pierce Jones is in the Padres system. He might be in low A or high A this year. But yeah, Ed Howard and Alec Thomas, they were teammates at Mount Carmel for a little bit. Alec Thomas, his freshman year was our senior year of high school. And Mount Carmel High School, my high school, Oak Park River Forest, we were going to play Mount Carmel if they got past Providence Catholic. They lost, but Mount Carmel, if you went around the diamond, starting pitcher in the sectional final, I think we saw, or maybe the super sectional that we saw, was a Division I baseball commit. Everybody around the diamond, 7 of the 8 position players were Division I commits as seniors. The only one that wasn't was a freshman, Alec Thomas, in center field. Damn. Alec Thomas hit a triple and a bomb in this game. Both pitches were over his helmet. And
I remember you saying that.
He tomahawked a ball 420 dead center as a freshman in high school. And I was like, okay.
Well, it's crazy because when I look at Alec Thomas, I'm like that everything that he does pre-swing, like when I see a guy like that, I'm like, that's difficult to time up. It's difficult to make work. If you're a freak athlete, you can make those movements work. Alec Thomas is a plus hit tool guy, despite all of those movements. So you just know he's a freak athlete to be able to make all of that work. By the way, on my high school team, I was the one non-D1 commit guy. Like the whole like team all the way around, like either D1 or draft prospect, and then just like, the scrappy guy over here that
switch hitter
that can play all over the diamond and set the team. I have school record for sacrifices. So,
boom,
I'm in the record books.
But here's the thing though, like about, somebody like Alec Thomas, right? Like when you watch the South Florida guy, when I watch the Chicagoland area guy, like I watched Gavin Lux. I watched, who's this catcher for the Twins, Rortvedt. Like they're all from the Chicagoland area. Guys that are from Chicago, Milwaukee, Indy, like that walk of the earth. I see them all the time and I keep tabs on them. And when you watch a South Florida guy all the time, it gets pretty easy to pick out what you don't like about them. It's like having a roommate. If you're around them for long enough, you pick out things that you start to not like. I just continue to watch Alec Thomas and I can't really pick out anything that I don't like.
No, it's pretty hard. There's really not much to not like. Even the power starting to shine through. And that kind of leads me into power shining through on the last guy here. And this is somebody that, frankly, I will be laying money on to win Rookie of the Year this coming year. It's going to be boom or bust. But if he puts it together, he's going to run away with it. And it's Oneil Cruz of the Pirates. Oneil Cruz has generational power. Like that's not even hyperbolic. Generational power. He hit a home run last year, 120 miles per hour in AAA. For context, in the StatCast era, there have only been 3 other home runs hit 120 miles an hour, Jack. 2 by Giancarlo Stanton, 1 by Aaron Judge. The other is Oneil Cruz, number 4. That's some ridiculous company. The other side of it is that he's actually cut down on the K rate. He's made this simple, shorter swing. He's been able to find movements that work for him. I think this guy could legit hit 35, 40 home runs next year if he's able to put it all together. And I think he can.
Yeah, he's a rookie shortstop who might hit 35 bombs.
He's 6'7". How is that even possible?
6'7". I don't know. We're doing this with the Hall of Fame ballot right now. There are a lot of people that have some serious character flaws that are on the Hall of Fame ballot, and you just have to separate the character flaws from the baseball. Like Barry Bonds, really, really good at baseball. Roger Clemens, really, really good at baseball. Curt Schilling, really, really good at baseball. Oneil Cruz, like, whenever I hear that name, I think of the DUI, right? Like I think of, this was a rough go of it for Oneil Cruz. But the reality is, like, his talent level is second to none at, the shortstop position in the National League right now, because he has something that nobody else has, and that's the frame, right? He's 6'7". He gets all of his frame out of it, and he hits the ball to the stratosphere. Defensively, I'm curious how he's going to do. If he's a serviceable defensive shortstop and he hits 35 bombs and he keeps the batting average right around 265, that's your Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. I mean, no, one more guy that I think could potentially break in on the National League side. And he got a little bit of a stint last year, and he was traded from the Dodgers to the Nationals. Keiber Ruiz. We can talk Josiah Gray, but I want to talk Keiber Ruiz. Good hit tool, switch hitter, catcher, got a cameo last year. I think he's still eligible for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. Yeah, he should be. I mean, he didn't play many games.
Right? Keiber Ruiz. What do you think?
I'm a lot lower on Keiber Ruiz than I think most are. Let's see. Keiber Ruiz played 6 games with the Dodgers, 23 with the Nats. I think his rookie status, yes, still intact through 2022. Ruiz hit 284 with a 743 OPS, 2 bombs, 14 driven in 23 games with Washington. You know, he's tough. Like he's a really tough nut to crack for me because I watch Moreno and I say, yeah, that's the guy. I watch Francisco Alvarez. I say, yeah, that's the guy. I watch Dingler. I say, yeah, that's the guy. And like Keiber Ruiz, I'm just like, is he a top flight prospect? Like, is he a number one prospect in the system?
It's funny. So I was a little bit on the fence about him, and I think he's a high floor guy, but I don't know if his offense can translate the way that some people think it can. And it was funny because I was talking actually to I was talking to a few different people in the prospect world about it. And they're like, how could you be hesitant on Keiber Ruiz? Like, what are you unsure of about Keiber Ruiz? And I was like, I don't know. Usually I can give you a full description as to why, but there's something there and I just don't totally know. But I think he's going to swing it. I just don't think that's a guy I'm super pumped about to be able to make a major impact next year. But someone else in the same division, last guy we'll wrap up with here, because I know you saw a little bit of him, I believe, in college, Bryson Stott. I'm not sure he's going to break in quick enough, but he could be the everyday shortstop in the second half of the season for the Phillies. I think Didi's done. I just don't think that that's your guy you're counting on if you're trying to make the playoffs as your shortstop. Stott's a superior defender. I think at this juncture, probably a better hitter and high floor guy too, and a good athlete. What do you think?
I really like the concept of Stott and Segura being the middle infield tandem in Philly. Like, that's hot. It'd be fun.
And Bohm, a bounce back Bohm at third. That's a fun infield. Hoskins at first, Real Muto at catcher. That's one of the more fun infields in baseball if Bohm bounces back.
Then you've got the MVP out and right. And like, I don't give a shit about I don't give a shit about center and left if I've got the MVP and right in that infield. Stott, you know what? I saw Stott when he was between seasons at UNLV before he went to go play for Team USA in the collegiate national team. I saw him out on the Cape. He was with Wareham. I think it was Stott and Andrew Vaughn.
He was a Wareham guy. He was a Wareham guy.
Stott and Vaughn, I think, were on that same Wareham team. And by the way, the ball came off Andrew Vaughn's bat differently than anybody else I've ever seen. Bryson Stott, like the way that this guy roams the diamond, when you see a ground ball to his backhand, I'm like, oh yeah, you're going to be a Major League Baseball player. Like, you could see that when he was in college after his freshman year at UNLV. I think this guy's got the makeup to be a stud. I don't think there's any defensive question for me. I know that the errors could accumulate for, an everyday shortstop as a rookie, but I just don't really see it. Like, I think he's a big league defender. I think that he's got enough power in the bat. Like,
especially in that park, right? I mean,
yeah. When you see best case scenario, Bryson Stott, what's the batting average? What's the home run total?
Like, I think he can be a 285 guy, hit you 20 bombs. I think he can be that with some good athleticism.
Right. 285 with a 355 OBP and 20 bombs.
Yeah. And with good athleticism, we'll sprinkle in probably 10 to 15 bags. We'll play some good defense. You'll take that on that team. That's exactly what they need. That's exactly what they need. And so, I really like him there. I think they need to go get like a Kevin Kiermaier type in center field, make that defense better. They don't need offense like that. But I think at this juncture, Bryson Stott might be an offensive upgrade over Didi at this point. I mean, Didi is just he's not the same anymore. I mean, we'll see. Yeah. He's going to get one last chance, but I mean, the defense isn't great anyways. So, we'll kind of see how that goes. But I think Stott's a dark horse here, depending on how early they bring him up. But I mean, he's been really good all the way through.
Well, in worst case scenario for Dave Dombrowski, he's got JP Crawford and Scott Kingery in Lehigh Valley. I mean, JP Crawford and Scott Kingery, they were the can't miss guy in AAA for so long.
Well, hey, JP put it together this year, kind of.
Put it together, not for the Phillies. Sorry, Phillies.
Nope, for the Mariners. Man. But yeah, this was fun, man. Like, we got a lot of guys to go through, and there's probably more. One other guy that I was just going to mention in passing as we wrap up is Roansy Contreras. Pitcher, Pirates, disgusting. If he's healthy, that's another guy that I will sprinkle a few bucks on over there to kind of see if he puts it together and he's healthy. I mean, he already put it together. It's really a matter of health. This stuff is crazy. Fleecing of the Yankees in that deal for the Jameson Tyone trade. I loved that deal for the Pirates, but fun as always. At this point, we're getting ready for Steph, right? He should be starting up soon. As people are listening, Steph probably made history unless he shot 1 of 11 and had one of his disastrous nights from the field that is unwatchable, like you say. And just so terrible. Any final thoughts?
No, I'm going to go watch Steph.
All right. Thank you, everybody.